Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Confidently in Charge. I am your hostess, Allison Thayer, the founder of Poppy Lead, and I am so excited to be joined today by Maddie Hunt, who is the powerhouse behind SoulShine Business the SoulShine Business Management team. She and her team work behind the scenes so you don't have to, which I love, so many great services. And she shares all of these great kind of behind the scenes glimpses of her work with her team. And just, I feel like I get to know you via social media. You're still hopping in the ocean, it seems, even though it's December. Like, I love that. At first I was like, she must live in like Hawaii or something. And then I was like, oh, nope, she is on the East Coast and just is die hard and committed to the things you love. So I found myself wanting to connect with Maddie because I'm just so impressed by the growth of her team and just kind of who she seems to be as a leader. So I wanted to get her on the show to kind of talk about that leadership stuff. And I just discovered while kind of preparing for this that she, in addition to rocking her VA OBM powerhouse, she also co-founded the Communities for United Roots, which is a nonprofit that's working to combat childhood poverty in her home community in New Jersey. So that is just so cool. So many amazing things that you're up to. So welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. I love this show and what you're doing. So I'm so honored to be on it.
Awesome. So let's, start at the beginning. Like, did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Was that like always in the cards for you? Or tell us a little bit about how you got started with this.
Yeah, so if I look back to when I was in like elementary school and middle school, now as an adult, I can really pick out these little pieces where you could say, okay, she's kind of meant to be an entrepreneur. I always like had very innovative ideas and I was always recruiting my friends and family members to go along with them. Like I always had lemonade stands and I was like making bracelets and selling them and always had an idea to start a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got older, was super involved in student government. And that's how I kind of got started as a leader. And it wasn't until maybe a few years ago that I really dove into entrepreneurship. I'm a yoga teacher. So that's how I first started in entrepreneurship, starting a yoga business. And then here I am with SoulShine now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's been like a lifelong journey. If you talk to my parents, they would laugh and say, oh yeah, Maddie's always been the businesswoman.
She's always had a plan. I
I
love
always have
that.
ideas.
Did you ever see yourself kind of at the top of this, team of people? Like, was that in the cards for you, or did you plan to kind of work on your own?
I have always been a very independent worker. I always say that I'm an outgoing introvert. So I really
Mhm.
recharge by spending time alone, but I love connecting with other people. So I never really saw myself in a role where I'd be managing a large team just because I thought that'd be kind of overwhelming for someone like me who likes to recharge by being alone. But
Mhm.
I found that my inner leader has kind of come out in this CEO role and it's less managerial for me. I thought that as a CEO, you'd be more kind of like bossing people around because that's what you see in the TV shows and movies. But
Mhm.
it's more so just connecting with your team members and showing up as a strong leader, and then they just kind of naturally follow. So it's not as difficult as I thought it would be, even though
Mhm.
I never expected I'd be here.
Yeah, that's how many people are on your team now?
7.
7. Wow. Yeah, that's an impressive number of people to kind of manage and process. That's awesome. So when did you start SoulShine, and like, how has it been kind of, from now to then?
Yeah, so I officially started SoulShine this past summer when I branded ourselves as SoulShine. So I think we started in like June or July.
Mhm.
Before then, I was kind of just doing independent virtual assistant work for like a year before that. And I had recruited my cousin to work alongside me, but we never gave ourselves a name. We kind of were just doing VA work for people.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then eventually I just got a whole bunch of referrals and things started to grow very quickly. So that's when I decided to make it into a company and give it the name SoulShine. So that was
I
just
love
this
that.
summer, crazy enough.
Wow. So what would you say is, kind of like the biggest thing you've learned about yourself in this process of like kind of becoming the boss and the CEO that you are now?
I think the biggest thing I've learned is to give myself grace. I've always been like a hyper productive person. And I think as a CEO, it's expected that you're always working because I think oftentimes people identify as their businesses because they become really passionate about them, right? And it becomes really hard to separate work and life.
Mhm.
But as we've grown, I've realized I don't know, be as hyper productive as I used to be without burning out. So
Mm,
now I've learned as I've scaled that I also need to give myself grace and take care of myself as a person more so that I can show up more fully in my business, which
mm.
is something I wasn't doing when we were just a smaller company or even when I was working as like a yoga teacher, as funny as that sounds, something that you think you'd be a self-care guru, right?
Right,
But
right.
it isn't until we've gotten bigger that I really had to figure out that I have to slow down and take care of myself before showing up for my clients and my employees.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I think, so often we have that image of like, yeah, I need to be working all the time. I need to be like always available. I need to answer the question immediately. And like, I need to like answer the email right now. And like, we really, put a lot of that pressure on ourselves. And so, kudos to you for realizing like, this is not sustainable. And like, I have to show up for these other people. And if I want to do that, I need to kind of have my own back and show up for myself in some ways. That's incredible. And, I know that entrepreneurship, like it sounds like it's been, you've had kind of a good, not easy, but not like, but like, it sounds like, you've had support, you've had, people kind of connected with you. Um, you know, are there challenges that you've faced thus far on the journey?
Yeah, so there have been different things. I think that as a business owner, as you scale, you naturally find some growing pains as well.
Mhm.
So, something that we just more recently did within SoulShine is we changed our business model a little bit. So, what we were doing in the past is I'd have my VAs who'd be doing like a bunch of the work, I'd have my clients, and then I'd be the middle woman that was communicating between the two.
Mm,
And then we eventually got so many clients, I found that I had no time in my day because I was just on calls with people all the time.
mhm,
So I had to make a pivot in order for my business to expand and grow in the way that it needed to, and also
mhm,
for things to be done more efficiently. So now
mhm,
my VAs are communicating directly with the client that they are assigned to. So that
mm,
was a challenge of letting go of
mhm,
control a little bit,
mhm,
and also having to communicate that pivot to
mhm.
past clients. So that's one
Yeah.
challenge. More personally, like my younger brother passed away when
Oh
we were
gosh. Yeah.
just starting out
Mhm,
SoulShine. He passed away in June. So I
mm,
think I started my business like officially a few weeks before that. So
wow.
trying to manage like grief and trauma at the same time as managing a bunch of employees and clients, and
Mhm,
it was that was a struggle for sure, trying to take that space for myself, let go of control again, relying on my
mhm.
team a lot, and making sure that my clients were still feeling nurtured and supported.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That is really powerful. And I think is such a great reminder of like, we might be the CEO and the boss and like, crushing it, but like life is real and
Yeah.
like humanness is real and trauma and struggles and heartbreak and all of that is, a real part of life. And so, it's incredible that you kind of let that in and took a lesson from it sounds like in terms of like, okay, I'm letting go of control, I'm kind of learning and growing. I actually did an episode with Jackie Simic, and one of the things that she talks a lot about, and what we talked a lot about on that episode, is that entrepreneurship and healing are like kind of parallel at times because like you're learning about yourself and you're healing past limiting beliefs and you're healing, old hurts and new hurts, and you're learning about yourself. So that's, so powerful. In terms of finding that support and kind of maintaining your confidence through struggles and through the changes, what's really beneficial for you in terms of maintaining your confidence? How do you do that?
I think I think being really grounded at the start and end of your day really helps with confidence, or at least for me. So I try to take time every morning for a little morning routine. So I'm not just jumping into work right away where I call it like the monkey mind, like your thoughts and all that kind of
Mhm.
just invade and like tear down the confidence that you may naturally have. Because I think inside, if you strip away all the layers, we are confident in who we are as human beings.
Mhm.
It's like the world telling us all these different things, or our minds telling us all these different things, that starts to put a blanket
Mhm.
over the confidence. So if I can
Mhm.
start the day off from a really grounded place and start off strong with that confidence that I have inside innately, I can carry it through the rest of my day, and then ending my day with a nice little practice too, to make sure that I'm feeling grounded before going to bed so I can wake up feeling refreshed too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And then also just surrounding myself with other amazing, badass women who are entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
feeding off of their confidence too.
Mhm.
I I thrive in community. So really
Mhm.
pulling from other people's confidence and seeing how they're showing up in their businesses and how
Mhm.
they're leading with grace, is really inspiring for me.
Wow. That's so powerful. I love sort of your approach to life being like confidence is like the baseline. That's like what we're given. We're born as confident people. Like I also really ascribe to that belief. And I feel like, clients I've worked with and people I've interacted with have just been like, oh no, I'm not confident. Like that's just, I'm not a vivacious person. And there's just, I love your approach that like, no, you are confident. It's just the world that has put these weights on you and told you not to shine and all of that. So that's really powerful. And I love that kind of intentional bookending of the day of like, okay, I'm feeling prepared. I've got my mindset locked in. I know what I'm focused on. And then having that time at the end of the day to look at it and kind of plan for the next day. That's super awesome. So I want to ask a question kind of back about SoulShine and growing that team and what you're creating there. As you build out that team and expand, like, are you thinking about like the culture that you're creating or like the employee experience? Could you say a little bit about like how you're kind of building that?
Yeah, so as an owner of a company, I really wanted to make sure that any people I brought onto my team felt really supported, but also invested in the company. So I never wanted to feel like, oh, I'm the big boss, even though I do own the company and you guys don't have a say. I really want to make sure that everyone on my team feels like they have stakeholdership over what we're doing.
Mm,
So that's why I'm always asking them for their feedback, always making sure that they feel comfortable in the work they're doing, making sure they feel comfortable asking questions.
mhm,
And what I've noticed is by opening the floor for them to give their feedback, they do feel like they're a part of the company and its growth. And I always say that it's not me running the company and you guys are doing the work. It's all of
mhm,
us doing this together and
mhm.
growing it together. And then it's so cool to say, but they support it on their own. Like they
Wow.
promote it to all their friends and stuff, which I
Mhm,
think says a lot.
mhm,
Because I kind of grew up working a bunch of summer jobs and working for all these bosses that felt as though they could just like tell you what to do and like never really
mhm.
ask for your feedback. And I never wanted that to be the culture in my business. So I try to approach it from a place of a communal perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally does. And I think, that's so powerful. I was just having a conversation with a client about, you know, trying to create that kind of connection between employees and the struggles of like, we're all working virtually, but I want people to feel connected. I want people to feel invested. And so, I love talking about giving them, really like you are a stakeholder in this. You get to decide, you get to, like creating that space for people to feel comfortable, that's so powerful and such an important part of kind of being at the top of the business. That sounds incredible. So tell us a little bit more about the business then. Like, who do you typically like to work with, and like what kind of services does SoulShine provide?
Yeah, so we typically work with female entrepreneurs mostly in the online coaching space. So we
Mhm,
work with a bunch of like health and wellness coaches. We also work with business coaches, mindset coaches. But like I said, mostly female or female identifying
mhm,
individuals.
mhm,
And what we do is we provide virtual assistant services for them. So we are running the back end of their businesses. So, meaning email marketing, social media management, client relations, all that fun stuff, so
mhm,
that people can really focus on their zone of genius.
mhm,
Because I think many people can attest, especially when you're first starting out in your business, that you get into your business to be this coach, let's say. And then all of a
mhm,
sudden you find out that, oh, wait, I have to also be a web designer, a graphic designer, social media
mhm. I
manager.
gotta learn how to edit podcasts. Yep.
Yeah. And then
Mhm,
all of a sudden these things start to pile on and you're focusing less and less on what you got into your business for and more
mhm,
so in all these other tasks that are also super important for your business to thrive, but are
mhm,
draining your time, energy, and resources. So we kind of
mhm.
take away all those tasks so you can come back to why you started your business in the first place.
Wow, that's so powerful. And I think like such beneficial services, because yeah, like it's so important to do the follow up and to have the email marketing in place and to have, the landing page and everything kind of built out. And so, to walk through that process with people and to kind of provide that is so powerful, and giving, people room to shine. That's such a cool offering to give to the world. So, with kind of that like organizational, like it sounds like there's a lot of moving pieces in your life,
Yeah.
I imagine. So
Yes.
how do you stay organized, and like what do you recommend for entrepreneurs who are trying to, be a little bit more organized?
Yeah, so if we're getting really nitty gritty about organization, I use a tool called Asana, which is a
Mhm,
project management software. And I basically describe it as an online to do list. And that's how I keep myself organized entrepreneurially. So that's where
mhm,
I put everything that I have to do in a day.
mhm,
And I, in Asana, you have like different projects, which I do client names. So I know exactly what I have to do for each client
mhm,
on
mhm.
each day. And you can even put like a timestamp on it,
Oh
and
wow.
that's what helps keep me accountable because I'm a big list person. And
Mhm.
I know I need to get my thoughts out of my head and onto paper into the system, or else it won't ever get done because I have too much going on up there.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that's how I
Monkey
keep myself.
brain.
Yeah,
Mhm,
that's how I keep myself organized, nitty gritty.
mhm,
But I also keep myself organized by setting priorities for myself as an entrepreneur and as an individual.
mhm.
So, like you said earlier, we're not just business owners, but we're people with real life stuff going on, real life emotions, and hobbies outside of work. So
Mhm,
I like to make a little list of what is a priority in my life and see, okay, if spending time with family and friends is a priority, I have this much time within a week, I can do that. Where can I fit this in? Where can I fit
mhm,
in the work stuff? And that's how I organize both the
mhm.
personal side and the entrepreneurial side.
Wow. Yeah, time blocking is a beautiful thing. I love that approach of sort of looking at, what do I want to accomplish? What are my top priorities? Because, yeah, sometimes it can be a little like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, geez, no, I was really supposed to be doing that. And so taking that little moment of awareness to say, like, okay, what are my priorities today? What do I actually need to be focusing on? And
What
then adjusting. Mhm,
What helps too, I think, is I think we can, or I know I get overwhelmed if I start to look at the big picture too frequently. So something I
mhm,
often ask myself is like, okay, what's the next best step? Like, not
mhm,
everything has to be done right now, and also not everything has to be done perfectly. I
mhm,
love the saying or the quote, it's like completion over perfection. So,
mhm,
what can I complete in the immediate future? Can I keep my
mhm.
focus here rather than thinking about all the things I have to do within the month,
Right.
within the year, within the quarter, whatever it may be? So
Yeah.
I think that helps you stay on task and stay organized as well.
Mhm.
Little chunks, next best
Mhm.
step.
That's beautiful. Such good advice. Yeah. And I sort of believe that entrepreneurship is kind of like, or not entrepreneurship, but more leadership specifically, is kind of the culmination of those choices that we're making and the things that we're prioritizing. And, whether that's business things that we're prioritizing, personal things, combining them both within your day. So I would love to ask, in terms of how you show up for yourself as a leader, what are kind of the non-negotiables in your day? Um, and why are those important to you?
Yeah, I have quite a few. So something that's really important to me is connecting with the people that I love and cherish in my life, and that makes me feel really grounded. So I make sure every day to connect with family members or friends, whether that be in person, quick text, FaceTime. So that's a
Mhm.
non-negotiable for me. No matter how busy I get with work or anything else going on in life, I always want to make sure that sorry, that I'm prioritizing the other people I love too.
Mhm.
More like hobby wise, I love being out in nature and being out in the sun. So I
Mhm.
always try to get outside at least once a day.
Mhm.
I often describe myself as like a plant. I need like some photosynthesis time. If you put me out in the sun for like
I
10
love that.
minutes, it like clears my mind. It gives me a bunch of energy, and then I'm good to like restart the rest of my
Mhm.
day. So,
Yeah.
time spent with family and friends, time spent outside in nature, whether it be surfing, a hike, a quick walk. And
Mhm.
then just, I need wind down time at the end of my day.
Mhm.
I know it's not the most popular opinion in the wellness world, but I like love at the end of the day having 30 minutes of watching mind numbing TV
Uh-huh. So
to really just
necessary.
like, yeah, to unwind. And that's kind of a non negotiable for me as
Yeah,
well.
I hear that. I hear that. Like my spouse and I, we have like 5 or 6 different Netflix, Hulu shows that we like cycle through. And yeah, I try not to, get into the like, okay, I'm going to spend 3 hours in front of the TV, but like that little, like, just, unplug. Like sometimes I just want to laugh at a silly sitcom. Sometimes I just want to like unplug from everything else that's going on in the day. So powerful. And I love, you know, your suggestions for organization and like the ability and like kind of the permission to not hold everything in our heads. And like when we do try to hold everything in our heads, like that's when it, things get lost, things get missed. So yeah, I know, like I just have one kind of final question. Um, because like I definitely like I've used Asana a little bit, but I always feel a little, kind of like overwhelmed by like, what do I put into it? How do I, start? So do you have any like, quick starting tips for folks with Asana? Like, what should I even put in it?
Yeah. So you can use Asana for your personal life and then also for your business. So,
Mhm.
what I would suggest is break down different projects that you have going on in your business. So, let's say you have a membership, you have a program,
Mhm.
and you put out emails every week. So, like
Mhm.
big chunks of tasks, and you can make those different projects in Asana. So, look at all the things you're doing. Can you pull out a few categories, like main categories?
Mm.
Do that on the business side. And then on the personal side, same thing. I don't know. It could be like like grocery items or stuff like that. So pull out the main
Mhm.
categories in your life of things that you have to
Mhm.
do, and
Mhm.
then dive deeper into like the nitty gritty of what actually has to be done. So for the
Mhm.
grocery shopping, okay, that's a bigger category. You have to like write your shopping list. That's a task. That's like a smaller
Mhm.
task. And then
Mhm.
actually go to the grocery store and all these
Mhm.
different things. So
Mhm.
I would say just like take a moment, like an hour, to look at
Mhm.
your life from like a grander
Mhm.
perspective. Pull out the
Mhm.
main categories of your business, pull out the main categories of your personal life, put those
Mhm.
in Asana as projects. Maybe leave it there for a day or a few days. Let it simmer and then come back and fill
Mhm.
in the nitty gritty tasks that need to be done under those
Mhm.
bigger categories.
Mhm. Super powerful. Yeah, because I found myself like, should I have like a sales one? Do I need like a marketing one? But I love this kind of like project focused, like, email marketing. I have my to-do list there, and my membership, I have my to-do list there. Such great advice to kind of take that zoomed out perspective. So last question to wrap up, how can people stay connected with you? And I know that you have some really cool new offerings in kind of creation, like community space. So could you just say a little bit about how people, can stay connected to you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so there are a few ways. So you can always connect with us on Instagram. I'm pretty active on there. Our handle is at SoulShine Business.
Mhm.
And then otherwise, we have a free Facebook community with like 100 people in it, all female entrepreneurs. And I'm in there every week. Same with all the other ladies. So that's a great way to connect with not just me, but other people who are plugged into SoulShine, both my team members, clients, and then people that are just interested in what we're doing. And
Awesome.
then lastly, we have our new membership that you were talking about. So I'm super excited about this membership. We just launched it like probably 2 weeks or so ago now. And it combines personal growth and entrepreneurial growth. So we have a bunch of live and recorded like yoga classes, meditation sessions, wellness ebooks, all that good stuff. And then on the entrepreneurial side, a bunch of like systems videos and like back end business tutorials. So you can
Mhm.
connect with myself and my team there as well.
Mhm. That's awesome. That sounds like such a great, offering to put out to the world, because it's like you do need the strategy, but you also need the mindset, and like
Yeah.
you can't, like it is helpful to, plug in. And I think like I just personally enjoy doing things with other entrepreneurial folks, and I like it's especially, working from home and like being a solopreneur and all of that, like it can get super lonely. And so I imagine like going to a yoga class with other entrepreneurs, or like, gathering for, wellness events and things like that sounds very cool. And then to also have access to like, cool, yeah, we're also like badass VAs who know what your like email marketing system needs and all of that. So then to provide that, that's a really cool offering. This has been awesome. I have loved this conversation and just kind of hearing, the realness of like, I've always been kind of entrepreneurial. Like, this is what I'm doing. And it just sounds like, you're really following what feels good and following the path that you're on. So do you have any final comments that you would like to make to, new entrepreneurs, any words of inspiration to leave folks off with?
Yeah, I would say for any new entrepreneurs or someone that's considering taking that jump, to really like tune into your own intuition and listen, as cheesy as it may sound, to what your heart is telling you. Because oftentimes when you're just starting off a business, you're going to get a lot of advice from outsiders, which can kind
Mhm.
of blur your vision, right? And what we talked about earlier with confidence and how the world kind of covers that up, the same thing can happen with your intuition and knowing what that next best step is. In
Mhm.
yoga, we call it Sat Chitananda, which are basically three Sanskrit words for saying truth, bliss, and knowledge, these things that we have innately within ourselves, and we just have to uncover them. And knowledge being you know what is best for you. So if you have that pull to start your own business, if you
Mhm.
have that pull to go a certain direction in a business that you already have, listen to that, take the leap, and trust yourself, trust what your heart is telling you.
Mhm.
That's my best advice. It's worked for me so far.
Yay! I love it.
Hopefully it works for others.
Yeah, following what feels good, listening to yourself. And that's such a great point too about like, we're naturally, I love this approach. We're naturally confident and intuitive beings. And the world, weighs us down and tries to cover that up. And maybe the world is just afraid of our greatness because when we
Yeah.
remember that, confidence and that intuitive nature that we have, we're so powerful. So great advice for folks. So thank you so much, Maddie, for joining us on the show. This has been a great testament of your leadership, your confidence. I love all of it and what you're creating. So thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you are catching this as a podcast, I remind you that there's also a YouTube talk show version if you want to see the video, or if you're here on YouTube and you want to check it out as a podcast, take us with you on the go. You can find the podcast on Google, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you're looking for it. So be sure to like and subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what your takeaway is from the episode. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will catch you next time.